I am about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments, there will be anything, it'll just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on.
Or the administration can adhere to some financial limits. We're not looking to necessarily...
Let's talk about one of the most outrageous political scandals to hit the headlines in years, a story that involves court battles, corruption allegations, a federal probe, and a mayor so deep in controversy, you won't believe what's coming next. So we're diving into the saga of Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed super mayor of Dolton, Illinois. Her rise to power was historic, but what followed was a whirlwind of legal drama, accusations of financial mismanagement, and a relentless struggle to maintain control. And trust us, you're going to want to hear every jaw-dropping detail of this political soap opera, because it's got everything from courtroom showdowns to federal subpoenas and even a betrayal from someone she trusted most. Let's get into it.
Very appreciative to receive the information today. We have the best mayor ever. I've been here since 1993.
Tiffany Henyard first came onto the scene as the youngest and the first female mayor of Dolton, a small village on the outskirts of Chicago. Her landslide victory in 2021, where she secured more than 80% of vote, was nothing short of a triumph. So people had high hopes for her leadership, but it wasn't long before her term started to unravel in ways no one could have predicted. The controversy surrounding her started as whispers and eventually turned into full-blown scandals. Now Henyard isn't just facing local backlash, she's under federal investigation, accused of everything from mismanaging taxpayer funds to making illegal appointments in her administration. So how did it all go so wrong so fast? It all started with a power struggle between Henyard and the village trustees. Now, this might sound like standard political drama, but trust us, this is far from your typical city hall squabble. Henyard wanted to appoint key figures to her administration, including a new police chief, village attorney, and village manager. Sounds pretty routine, right? Well, the problem was she allegedly tried to make these appointments without getting the necessary approval from the village board. So this led to a legal battle, with trustees accusing her of overstepping her authority. So they argued that under village law, Henyard couldn't just hire and fire people without their consent.
Of court, the judge today declining to hold her in contempt, but did warn her that if she did not follow the ruling, he would.
Enter the courts. A Cook County judge ruled against Henyard, issuing a temporary restraining order that blocked her appointments. So the judge made it clear that if she kept trying to bypass the board, she could face serious consequences, potentially even jail time. And let's be honest, nobody wants to see their mayor behind bars. Despite this, Henyard seemed determined to push forward, and she showed no signs of backing down, even after the judge's stern warning. Her actions have left many in Dolton wondering, is she simply trying to assert her leadership, or is she intentionally flouting the law? Things came to a head when Henyard attempted to hold her own village board meeting at Village Hall, despite knowing that a separate official meeting was already taking place at the Park District. The Illinois Attorney General had ruled that Village Hall wasn't a suitable venue because it couldn't accommodate the large crowds typically drawn to these meetings. But Henyard decided to hold her own meeting anyway. Not surprisingly, she had to cancel it when only 2 trustees showed up, which wasn't enough to meet the quorum requirements. So, but here's where things get even crazier. So instead of calling it a day, Henyard drove down to the Park District meeting and tried to barge in. When she arrived, she was met with boos and jeers from residents who were clearly fed up with her antics.
Next thing is my vetoes. So I got several vetoes here that the board has.
But this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the mess that Henyard has found herself in. Let's talk about the financial aspect of this scandal, which might be the most shocking part of all. Federal investigators have launched a probe into Henyard's administration, and subpoenas have been flying. So the investigation centers around allegations of financial mismanagement, including the misuse of public funds. There are claims that Henyard used the village credit card for personal expenses, and we're not talking about small stuff here. So we're talking tens of thousands spent on things like Amazon purchases, lavish vacations, and even home furnishings.
This administration is shameful. Y'all are a disgrace.
We're watching the fall of this administration.
One report, spearheaded by none other than former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, uncovered a massive financial deficit in Dolton's budget. The village's general fund balance had reportedly been around $61 million in 2022, but by mid-2024, it had plummeted to a deficit of $65 million. That's nearly a $9 million swing, and it all happened under Henyard's watch. Lightfoot's investigation also revealed that Henyard had used the village card for extravagant spending, including a $33,000 purchase on Amazon in January 2023. Yeah, you heard that right, $33,000 on Amazon. And that's not all. There were other purchases at Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair, all raising questions about what exactly the village funds were being used for.
I'm a private investigator. I've got some books that says super mayor. Inside I have from the United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois.
And if you think that's bad, hold on, it gets worse. Henyard is also accused of throwing extravagant parties on the taxpayers' dime. One such event reportedly cost about $85,000 and featured R&B singer Keek Wyatt and rapper Jay Holiday. Imagine being a resident of Dolton, seeing your town sink further and further into debt, while your mayor is out here throwing what can only be described as luxury events. It's no wonder people are outraged. Many in the village are now questioning whether Henyard ever had the town's best interests at heart, or if she was just using her position to benefit herself and her inner circle. Speaking of her inner circle, this is where the story takes an even more personal and dramatic turn. Henyard's boyfriend, yes, her boyfriend has reportedly become a key witness against her in the ongoing federal investigation. Talk about betrayal. This guy, who had been by her side throughout time in office, is now spilling the tea in court, offering testimony that could seal her political fate. According to court reports, Henyard's boyfriend provided details about how she allegedly diverted municipal funds for personal use. We're talking about lavish vacations, personal shopping sprees, and more. His testimony also includes allegations that Henyard awarded contracts to businesses owned by her friends and family members without following proper procedures. If true, this points to a serious abuse of power.
Last month, a judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking her from making those appointments without approval from trustees.
So the courtroom scenes surrounding this testimony have been nothing short of dramatic. At one point, Henyard reportedly erupted into a furious outburst, shouting at her boyfriend and interrupting the proceedings. Can you imagine the tension in that room? Witnesses described it as a meltdown, with Henyard visibly stressed and clearly feeling betrayed by someone she trusted so deeply. Her emotional reaction only fueled the speculation about her guilt, with some people interpreting her outburst as a sign that she knew the walls were closing in on her. Now, with all this chaos unfolding, you might think Henyard would lay low for a while, right? Wrong. She has announced that she's running for re-election. Yep, you heard that correctly. Despite being under federal investigation, despite the court battles, despite the village's financial crisis, Henyard is confident she can win another term as mayor. In a bold move, she posted on Facebook saying, "Attention, attention, attention. I am running for re-election for mayor of Dolton." Some people were shocked, others were not surprised at all.
Here to appoint my police chief,
So that the reaction to her re-election bid has been mixed, to say the least. Some of her most vocal critics, including residents and members of the village board, have called her run for re-election ridiculous. Trustee Kiana Belcher, who has been one of Henyard's most consistent opponents, publicly slammed the announcement, saying the community does not want to continue under her leadership. Belcher wasn't alone in her sentiment. Another trustee, Jason House, has also launched his own mayoral campaign, calling for a complete overhaul of Dolton's leadership. House is part of a team of candidates running under the Clean House slate, and they're determined to bring ethics reform and restore trust in the village's government. Despite the growing opposition, Henyard remains defiant. She insists that she has the support of the people and that her re-election campaign will prove it. So in her own words, Henyard said, "The residents know the truth, and I am committed and determined to continue fighting for my village for the next 4 years. Whether or not the people of Dolton will stand by her after all the scandals remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, Henyard is not going down without a fight."
We believe strongly that that meeting was improperly called and improperly held. The residents of Dolton.
The federal investigation into Henyard's administration has also brought unwelcome attention to Dolton. State and federal authorities are now closely watching what's happening in this small village, and it's clear that the outcome of this investigation could have far-reaching consequences. If Henyard is found guilty of the corruption charges, it could lead to her removal from office and possibly even criminal charges. That would leave Dolton in a leadership crisis, and the village would likely face an early election or the appointment of an interim mayor to restore some semblance of order.
Also new tonight, Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard is suing some village trustees over Monday's meeting.
But even if Henyard manages to avoid criminal charges, the financial damage she's done to Dolton will take years to repair. The village's budget is in shambles, and residents are feeling the impact. Public services have been cut, infrastructure projects have been delayed, and there's a general sense of uncertainty about the future. As one resident put it, she announced she's running for mayor again. If they reelect her, they deserve what she gives them. It's a harsh sentiment, but it's one that's shared by many in the village. But the question remains, can Tiffany Henyard survive this political firestorm? Or is this the beginning of the end for the self-proclaimed super mayor? So the upcoming elections and ongoing court battles will determine not only her future, but also the future of Dolton itself. So one thing is certain, the drama is far from over, and we'll be watching closely to see how it all unfolds. So what do you think? Will Henyard pull off a political comeback, or is she done for good? Let us know in the comments, because this is one story that's just getting started.